Thank you for having me here tonight. Many great people about this organization. It's a real pleasure to be here. The word underground, U-N-D-E-R, G-R-U-N-D, is the only word in the English dictionary that starts with U-N-D and ends with the letters U-N-D. Underground, how about that? I don't know where I'm going with this one. But I was taking a speaking course once, and they told me that you grab the audience's attention when you start off with a fact. Every 39 seconds there are 10 people who die and 4 people who are born. Everyone gets very excited. So I decided to start with an interesting fact. The truth is, it's amazing. There are actually courses that are given in public speaking. How to stand, where to put your hands, when are you supposed to walk out, and when do you hide behind the ständer. When to go high and when to go low. And there's a course on virtually anything. There's even courses on cooking. Networks! I don't know, I was in yeshiva, we wanted to cook something, we put a bunch of stuff in the pot, and whatever came out, you ate it. Cooking and the spices, and for how long? And you want to go ahead and be a good athlete? You could take years and years of training. I was in Baltimore for the first days of Purim, and I was sitting next to near my brother's house. A fellow, and I was talking to him, making small talk, and I say, so what do you do? He says, I'm an opera singer. He was very excited. And he starts singing. Okay, I didn't ask for a rendition. I just asked what you do. I said, are you taking voice lessons? He says, sure, for the past 14 years. I said, and how much longer do you plan on taking voice lessons for? He said, what do you mean? Until the day I die. Voice lessons for the next 60 years. I can always get better. Because when you want to improve something, when you want to get better at something, you learn more and more and more. And it's an art. Well, the question is, if we want to become great people, if someone wants to become great, how many courses are there for greatness? And specifically, greatness as a Torah Jew. And more specifically, greatness as a Torah Jewish woman. You could take 10 years to become the best doctor. We could go into this college and take courses and everything. But what about the heart of the matter? What do we need? What's the formula to real greatness? We just finished a parsha called Parshas Kedoshim. And in Parshas Kedoshim, the Torah tells us something so amazing. Kedoshim tihiyu, you shall be, very loosely translated as holy. Very bad word. It's an old Bible translation. Why? Ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem. Because I, Hashem, am holy. What does the word kadosh mean, Rabosai? If you've ever been by a wedding, and you actually are able to hear by the wedding, depends on which side of the chitza you're on, and you're able to hear what the chatan tells the kala, he says the following words: Harei at mikudeshet. You become mikudash to me. Now all of a sudden, a girl becomes holy just because she got married. What happens? Marriage just makes someone holy? The word mikudash means elevated, special, separate. You used to be available for everyone, but now the chatan tells the kala, you belong to me. You belong to something special. You're not just there for everyone anymore. Shabbat Kodesh. You know why Shabbat is called Kodesh? We think that sometimes we're going to go and see angels flying. The holiness. What does Kodesh mean? why Shabbat is holy? Because it's different than the rest of the days of the week. It's separate. Eretz HaKodesh is a different land. The Kodesh HaKodashim is the most special of the special. Someone once came into the great Rav Noach Weinberg's office, the dean, the Rosh Yeshiva of Yachad, one of the greatest shiur movements in the world. And he comes in, with his long hair, and he says, Rabbi, I thought I would find my answer about the truth in the land of Israel. I went traveling all over Israel, and I did not find any holiness. So I think I'm willing to end my journey. Rav Noach Weinberg looks at him and he says, are you a bafusnik? He says, excuse me, Rabbi? He says, yeah, you heard me. Are you a bafusnik? He says, well, I can't really answer that question. So Rabbi Weinberg says, why not? He says, because I don't know what a bafusnik is. And Rabbi Weinberg says again, are you a bafusnik? He says, I don't know. He says, so how can you tell me you didn't find holiness if you don't know what holiness is? You can't say you're a bafusnik because you don't understand the question. But yet you're looking for holiness as if you know exactly what you're looking for. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is, what does Hashem do when He wants us to become? Because really, holiness is greatness, everyone. When someone is special, when someone is unique, when someone is elevated, dignified. Sometimes you come out and maybe you met a holy rabbi, and you came out and you felt something. You say, I felt the Kiddusha. And your friend will say, what, did you see wings? Did he go like this and cups started flying across the table? Say, no, I just felt something. Your neshama felt something. What is it? What is that Kiddusha? So I have a question. I think the answer lies within this question. Moshe Rabbeinu was talking to the Jewish people. It's the end of his life, Sefer Devarim, and he asks as follows. Parshas Mikra. Ve'ata Yisrael, Jewish people, Ma Hashem Elokecha Shoel Me'imach. What is it already that God's asking about? What is it? Ma Hashem Elokecha Shoel Me'imach. Now, if I were to ask you, do you think Moshe Rabbeinu is about to say something very great or something simple? What do you think? If your teacher comes into school and says, listen, we're about to start the term, I have one little request. Ma Hashem, what am I asking of you already? It's a very funny way to speak. Ma Hashem Elokecha Shoel Me'imach. And you know what the Torah goes on to say? Ki im li yira, to fear, ula avoso, and to love him, ula lechas b'chol derachav, and to go in all his ways, v'lishmar s'musvosav, and to guard his mitzvos, v'chukosav. Goes on and on and on. What? That's a simple thing. You gotta keep 613 mitzvos, all the derabbanans. Don't eat milk and meat together. Turn over your homes. No chametz on Pesach. Women love that one. No, not even a crumb. Not even a crumb. No, nothing. Pay tuition for school. A year. Don't touch the land. Moshe. Oh, that's heavy stuff. So I was always bothered by this. Either it's something big and say, Jewish people, everyone sit down. But I got a big announcement to make. God has a lot of expectations. Or start off simply and say something simple. Keep Shabbat. Say something kosher. You go and you give all these laws. So I was very excited one day. I came across a Gemara in the second Megillah to ask my question, little me, my question. The Gemara asked, V'zed davar kal, is this something simple? You know what the Talmud answers? This is fascinating. Says the Gemara, yes. For Moshe you, this is something very simple. For Moshe, this is the most simple thing in the world. Do whatever Hashem says, love him, fear him, go in his ways. Now, that doesn't really answer the question. Moshe was writing his own little diary over here. Okay, day 554. Tell Jews, keep tzitzis. Okay, that was a good one, huh? Okay, day 8. Moshe Rabbeinu was saying the word of Hashem. For Moshe, this is easy, so he's talking to us like that. I never found an answer to this question. Because Moshe thinks it's easy. He goes, MashaAllah. Well, 2 years later, after I found this Gemara, it was Rosh Hashanah. High holy days. And I was eating by a friend of mine's house. His name is Jason Katz in Waterbury, Connecticut. And that year, Rosh Hashanah happened to fall out on Shabbat. So, usually we know we have to have 3 meals in Shabbat. The night, on the day, then we have Shalosh Sudot, the third Sudot. But on Rosh Hashanah, especially in Yeshiva, davening can go very long. And by the time you come home, you have to have your meal. You got to go back for Mincha, come back for another meal. It gets very complicated. So the Jews, we've been through worse problems before. When it comes to food, we manage to fit it all in. You would wait for a plate to go. So Hashem, I'll take one. It looks very good. And what we did is as follows. We washed. We had the first course, all the dips, and all the hummus, and the matbucha, and everything is great. We benched. Then you go for a little walk around the block, like 20 minutes. You walk it all off. You come back, you wash, and you have the second part of the meal. Isn't that great? 3 meals, but 2 birds with 1 stone. So, I'm sitting there, we wash, we have the first part, everything's great, then the owner of the house says, okay, we're now going to go for a little bit of a walk. Well, we go for a walk, I come back, it's around 20 minutes later, and I happen to be the first one to wash. So I go in and I wash my hands, and this was an old colonial type of house, very, very large house. And the difference between the living room and the kitchen was probably from here to the Beit Midrash. You have to go through the rooms. So I come, I wash first, I make my way back to the table, and sitting right in front of me is this huge bowl of challah. I think you call it hamim. Hamim, right? A big bowl of a stew. Meat, beans, challah. And it's sitting right in front of me. Now what happens if you leave a stew out for a little bit of time? It starts to congeal on top, right? It gets like very sticky because this is watery substance with a lot of carbohydrates and starches. I'm making stuff up. I'm assuming it makes sense. And things start to congeal. I don't know why it happens, but it just does. Okay, take my word for it. So I'm sitting over there. It's Rosh Hashanah, and this little congealed part of the chunk is on top. I say, I feel so bad for the missus of the house. She's going to feel a little embarrassed. Her chunk is going to be congealed and sticky. So I say, no, I'm going to give it a little bit of a mix. So I start mixing it a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, how long was this chunk down for me? A week? The whole thing was congealed. So I need a little more power. I get ready. I take both hands and I start mixing all over. I'm mixing with a huge bowl. And all of a sudden, I pick up my hand, and I'll never forget this. I see the lady of the house standing right about there by the doorway, looking at me with eyes of death, like this. And I'm like slowing down, like, and then she says, Majesky, what are you doing to my apple crisp? I'm gonna go now. She had like this 6-layer apple crisp with strawberry, and I'm sitting there. Pieces are everywhere. Oh my gosh. Oh my averot, right? Hashem, oh my averot. I didn't even need the celery. Nothing. That's it. Oh, and then the rest of the meal, everyone's joking, pass the challenge. Okay, very So, I forgot about that story. I put it in the back of my brain where many stories are, but over there already in my life. And one day I'm thinking about it. I say, everything happens. What can I take out of this story? And then it hit me. see, I thought I was doing a good thing. I want to help her. Yeah, I'm helping her. Great. She spent 2 weeks preparing this apple crisp, and in one moment I go, I ruined it. But I wanted to do a good thing! Because I thought it was a chone. But really, it was an apple crisp. You see, once you know the reality of something, you look at it totally differently. It's very easy for me to say now. The nickname is chone man. Yeah? Now it's very easy, but I thought it was something else. And this, I believe, is what Moshe Rabbeinu was telling the Jewish people. And the Gemara says Moshe was writing it, not because he's writing a diary, but says Moshe, Ve'ata Yisrael ma Hashem Elokecha shoel ve'ima. What is God asking of you already? It's not so hard. Do all the mitzvos, love Him, fear Him, keep the Torah. And the Jewish people are like, whoa, that's heavy. Because we think this world is a challenge. How can I do all that and have so much fun and make so much money and do all these things? And Moshe says, I know the reality of this world. I spoke with Hashem. I know the end game. I know about Mashiach and Olam Haba. I know the whole purpose. It's so simple. So simple. Once you know the reality of what it is that we're really supposed to be doing. But how often do we find ourselves getting sidetracked? Sometimes I tell my children they're supposed to be doing homework. And all of a sudden I see them, they're playing with their little games. I say, Yaakov, what are you doing? Oops. You go back to homework. 5 minutes later, oops. The homework. And forget. But what is really important? If you want to know the truth about yourself, who do you ask? If you want to know what's really important to you, who would you ask? You see, you can't ask your husband or your spouse, because they'll probably lie. He knows what happened last time you said the truth. Right? Oh, no, great. Yeah, that looks great on you, right? We know already what to say. So, you really want to know the truth, who do you ask? You can't ask your friends, because they also want you to feel good. Who said that? Who do you ask? You ask your kids, very good. You want to know the truth, you sit down to a good one-on-one with a child, and you did it. A friend of mine did this in Eretz Yisrael. He asked his son, he says, Shimon, ma achi chashuv la'Abba? Tagid li, what's the most important thing to Abba? And his son looks at him and says, Hashem Hutim. The restroom. So he said, no, don't say that. You see, in Eretz Yisrael, when you take your kids for an interview to yeshiva, they ask them questions, like 5-year-olds. What does your daddy like to do? So he's nervous, and his son says, so he says, why do you say that? He says, well, every day you come home, and you go straight here for a half hour, an hour. Right? So, you really want to know the truth. Our children see what's really chashuv, what's really valuable. And we all know that we should be doing the right thing, but sometimes we get distracted. The following story I'm about to tell you is not a greatness to me. It's all because of my wife. I want to tell you the truth. A couple of months ago, Hashem gave you the schus of my house being robbed. Why is everyone laughing? So, I don't know why, but I come home on a Friday, I'm finishing teaching, I ask my wife, should I come? She goes, no, meet me by the pizza shop, Rami's in the valley. So before I go there, I drop my stuff off. We go out, eat a half hour later, I come back first. I go into my parking lot and I see my doors open, I walk in, the place is ransacked, couches turned over, all the picture frames are out. I thought I had some safety on there. Everything, lots of money, over $15,000 was taken. And Baruch Hashem, when the rabbi called me, he said, we're paying you $15,000 to speak tonight. Paid up. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, you didn't know how wealthy the community is. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. So anyway, I pulled my wife right away. I didn't want my kids to come back and see the house like this. So She goes, she keeps them out a little bit longer. I try to clean it up a little bit, but kids are smart. They're going to see the cops come. So I didn't know, how do I tell my children that we got broken into? It could be very scary. So I had this idea. I'll call a social worker, or have my wife call a social worker, and ask her, how do you explain this to children? So my wife calls a social worker, and she gives them this whole little speech. Many kinderlach like the shiur, but these people don't like the shiur. You have to express yourself. A whole beautiful explanation on how to explain to children that people take things without permission. I went out to Marav that night. They say when the going gets tough in the house, the men go to Marav. So I go to Marav, my wife instead of men has to do explaining. It was a very long Marav lesson that night with Musaf and Hala. So, Baruch Hashem, I come back a little bit later, and Baruch Hashem, the children are sleeping. So I finished the meal. The next day, me and my children, we go to a father-son learning. So we're going to learning. I host Rabbanim in the morning. I'm taking my children, and I say, now's a good opportunity. I'm going to ask them. So I say, Yaakov, did mommy tell you what happened? He says, yeah, the bad people came in who don't share their toys. And he gives you this whole speech of stepping a lot of nachas. And then he looks at me and he says, but Tati, they didn't really take anything that's so important. I said, what? And I start crying. I have a meltdown over there. He's like, you're pulling me, Tati, let's go. Get a hold of yourself. So I say, Yaakov, Baruch Hashem, it's only Shemayim, but why do you say they didn't take anything that's important? And he looks at me and he says, because Tati, they left all the svar. That's what he says. And that didn't come from me. Children pick up on what's important and what's valuable. Rav Shmuel Birnbaum Zatzal, the late Rosh Yeshiva of Mir in Brooklyn, he hears two people talking in his yeshiva. And these two Bachrim are describing how much they love Torah. And one guy looks at his friend and he says, Torah to me is like the best ice cream. And his other boy looks back at him and says, yeah, Torah to me is like oxygen. And Rav Shmuel Birnbaum hears this and he looks at the boy. And the boy gets so scared, he says, how can you talk about Torah like that? He says, what? He says, you just said Torah is like oxygen. He says, yeah. And Rav Shmuel says, hold your breath. The boy holds his breath. He says, hey, but read now. You can live for a few seconds without oxygen. Torah is not like oxygen. Torah is life itself. You can't live without life. Bereshis bara Elohim, says the first Rashi HaKadosh. B'shvil HaTorah shenikra Reshis. Why do we have a world? Why do we have schools and cars? And why do we have children? Why do we have delicious food? Every single thing in the world, Hashem made us for what? For the Torah. Because that's what brings us to the ultimate connection to Him. That's His das, His wisdom. When you want to go with someone, you go out on a date, you don't just sit there looking at the guy. I hope it wasn't a really bad date. You talk, you communicate. Torah is Hashem's way of talking to us. There is nothing more important, Hashem says, than Torah. The Jewish people are about to receive the Torah. Hashem picks up the mountain. And He says, if you accept it, mutav, good. But if not, shamtehi kivurascha. You're going to die. I'll turn the whole world back to nothing. Can you imagine? Someone goes ahead and builds a whole stadium for a baseball team. And they sell out and the whole crowd comes in. And everyone's waiting to start. There's one problem, there's no team. Oops, I forgot to get a baseball team. Popcorn! I don't want to buy popcorn. Get your beer here. I don't buy beer. Oh, come on, you're having such a good time. Where's the team? Where's the purpose? Torah changes a person. This Rosh Shmuel Birnbaum, let me tell you a story about Rosh Shmuel Birnbaum. He never, ever, ever missed a Seder. Never. If someone wanted to officiate a wedding, they had to make it after night Seder. It would start only at 9 o'clock. He never went to meetings. Nothing. Torah, 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 all the time. Till in his late 80s. At the end of his life, he was so weak, never. He had the machla, that horrible sickness. Lower later, we shouldn't even say the word. And he was decrepit, his heel was falling out, he was so weak. He started giving shiurim in his house until the point came to the point where he wasn't even able to give shiur. He would just sit there and he would try to learn or listen. His son said over by his funeral, a day before his levaya, he tells his son, please come and give me a shower. And his children pick him up, and at every step he's screaming in pain. And as they put him to the shower, every time the water comes on him, he's screaming in pain. They wash him up and they put him back down. And his son looks at him and he says, Tati, you didn't even go to yeshiva. I know if you had any strength, you would be giving shiur. How come you wanted a shower? And he said, I have a feeling today or tomorrow, I'm going to return my neshama. And I know the Chevra Kadisha is going to cover me and have to take my body. And I didn't want to smell what they had to take care of. Can you understand this? Look what Torah did to a human being. Who thinks like that? The Minchas Chinuch says that out for Torah, we are all considered Nachshevet Kibehema. Animals also eat, sleep, and drink. It's the Torah that makes us different, that makes us special. Rabbi Akiva is walking with 24,000 Talmidim. Try to picture it. All the way down Robertson. From here all the way to Beverly. 24,000 Torah giants. Each one of them was able to revive the dead. And his wife Rachel comes over. She's trying to get a glimpse. She didn't see her husband in 24 years. And she's trying to get. And Rabbi Akiva's there, and this woman's pushing her away. And they don't want to let this lady get to him. No one knows who she is. Rabbi Akiva says, move. Make way for my wife Rachel. And Rachel comes. And he looks at everyone and he says, she's the reason why I'm here. Sheli v'shalachem shalai. Whatever is mine and yours is all because of her. Because it's the women who are the encouragement behind Torah study. When Hashem wants to give the Torah to the Jewish people, you know what he says? First, Kol Somar lebeis Yaakov. Go to the girls. Explains Rabbeinu Bechaya. If the women don't buy into this Torah thing, it makes no difference what the men do. Arishon, Rabbeinu Bechaya. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, before we get the Torah, the women have to be behind it. It's hard sometimes when the men are out, of course. Everyone's busy, everyone's trying to get by, Parnasa. We have all different reasons. But bottom line is, we don't want to come to the stadium and see no team. Why are we here? We are here for Torah. This is why we are here. How can we have more Torah study? Ourselves, the community, the Kollel, shiurim. And anytime someone taps into that, that is greatness. That is where greatness lies. We're a couple of weeks before Shavuot, before Kabbalah Satorah. This is something that we all need to strengthen ourselves. Because I'll tell you one thing. I can guarantee I will sign on anyone's paper. The world that we live in is not running after that. anything on my checklist? No. Zechayim. Life is not about the cholent. So clear, Hashem says, this is what it's all about. We are living in a time, Rabbosai, where the world is moving so fast. Not just in the Arab turmoil. Look at Russia, look at Europe, look at America. Hashem is cooking up the world. All the Gedolim, all the Rabbanim, all the Chachamim are saying something's about to happen. Mashiach's going to come soon. We daven now, we don't know when. And Hashem's going to say, who was carrying my honor? Who was pushing for me when everyone else was forgetting? And we want to be able to say that it was me. I want to end off hours late. It's a beautiful, real mashal that I think we have to take for ourselves. Has anyone here ever been to the circus? Yeah. Okay, one person?
Yeah.
Okay. You're afraid to answer. So have you ever been to the circus? You've seen many amazing feats and many different animals. My personal favorite was the elephant. It's a not for any specific reason. But I think it's amazing how you have these animals, these big, huge animals are able to go and stand up and do all these tricks, and it's fascinating. Well, if you ever look at the elephant, after it's done doing its trick, if you're able to go again in the back and get a VIP pass, you know how they put this huge monster of an animal, which can just go ahead and trample through the entire arena? You know how they hold him down? They take a little string and a little wooden peg, and they tie it to his foot, and they put it in the ground. And the elephant just stays there. Now, between me and you, if the elephant sneezes, you can take this thing down. But it doesn't. It just stays there. Why? So you ever heard the expression, you have a memory of an elephant? No? Okay, it's an expression. And if it's not, it just became one. Anyway, when this little baby elephant was very, 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 very small, and it didn't have that much strength, the trainer went and took a string and tied it around his foot, and then took a wooden peg and stuck it into the ground. And the elephant tried with all its might, and it was not able to move or budge. And it tried again, and it couldn't. And the next day it tried, and the next day it tried. And the elephant realized, I cannot move this wooden peg. And guess what, Rabbi said? The elephant never tries it. Because the elephant remembers. From way back when, he can't move the wooden peg. But let's not be like that elephant. How many times have we tried and maybe we didn't always succeed? I wanted to go and get a new inspiration. Because a Jew is different. A Jew has a power to break through. When a Jew wants to do something, there is nothing that can hold back the power of the neshama. Kedoshim kiyu. Ki kadosh ani, we have Hashem on our side. Let's remember that we're before Shavuos now. Remember of the koach that we have. Especially of a Jewish woman, how Hashem said it all depends on you. The greatness of Torah, the whole world, His entire purpose is only for Torah and Torah study. And let's connect to that. Let's become great people. May this time, may this sphere be a time of growth, where we become great people. And we commit ourselves to a new and exciting, with vigor, a new way to approach Yiddishkeit and Torah, with a new push for Torah learning. And we should be zocha this Shavuos, be makabel the Torah, the simcha, the ahava, with joy and with love. We should merit with all the Jews to be celebrating this Shavuot in Eretz Yisrael with Mashiach. Thank you very much.